remain safe. The stranger said, "You are the ruler of Muslims but have raised a wall between yourself and the people. And do not permit people to contact you and tell you of their grievances. Your ministers and advisors are unjust, and your workers are pleasure-loving and sinful. They say, Mansur is deceiving the people and Allah, and we therefore have no alternative but to be deceptive with him. In this way the entire country has drowned in oppression and injustice. However, you believe in Allah, you are the son of the prophets. Uncle, and you are very kind to the Muslims." Mansur said, "O Lord, grant me tawfiq, divine opportunity to act upon what this man says." This is actually a fabricated story that historians and scholars of ethics and preachers narrated from the pulpits. No one has objected to this story, and all consider it authentic. But in my view, it is merely a fiction. If it were not fabricated, the counsel giver would not have been a stranger. If it was Prophet Khizr, why did he appear for Mansur only and not preach to other tyrants too? It seems that through this story Mansur wanted to tell the people that he was made caliph as per divine will, that he had faith in Allah, he was the son of the Prophet's uncle and was kind to the people. He accomplished this plan by claiming that he met Prophet Khizr and thereby proved that Allah had shown kindness to him through Prophet Khizr. Masudi writes that one day Mansur entered his room and saw the following couplets written on the wall. "O Abu Ja'far, your death has drawn near. The divine decree must come to pass. O Abu Ja'far, fortune tellers and astrologers cannot ward off death. Don't be foolish." Mansur summoned his minister, Faisal ibn Rabi, and said, "Did one not order you to assure that none should enter the house and write on the walls?" Faisal said, "What was written?" Mansur replied, "Can't you see these verses?" Single quote. Faisal said, "By Allah, there is nothing on the wall." This event resembles the activities of the agents of colonialism who condemn colonialism publicly, but secretly work in the interest of the colonialists. In the above paragraphs we wanted to prove the falsehood of Mansur and expose his deceitful tactics. Our real object in discussing Mansur's beliefs was to throw light on his policy in relation to the descendants and Shias of Ali, Mansur and Imam Ali's descendants. Apart from Abdullah ibn Abbas, the family of Bani Abbas was an obscure and unknown family. If not for their relationship with the Prophet, they would not have been mentioned at all in history. On the contrary, Imam Ali's family, Bani Hashim, possessed perfect knowledge and faith in every age, and the hearts of the people were inclined towards them. All of them, from Imam Ali, all the way to Mahdi, possessed unparalleled greatness and virtue. In order to acquire dignity, Bani Abbas thus linked themselves with Imam Ali, his descendants, and the Holy Prophet. They attended the assemblies of Imam Ali's descendants with great respect and acquired knowledge from them. When Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Hassan mounted a horse, Mansur held the stirrup and brushed his dress when he was seated on the horseback. When the Umayyads were on the verge of defeat, the descendants of Ali, and Bani Abbas rallied around Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Hassan and gave allegiance to him. Ibrahim, Safa and Mansur were among them, but Mansur showed greater zeal for allegiance to Muhammad. Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq was also invited to this gathering and on his arrival, was asked to accept allegiance. He tapped Safa's back and said, "This man will become the caliph." Then he pointed to Mansur and said, "After him, the caliphate will come to this man." Thereafter, turning to Abdullah ibn Hassan, he said, "Your two sons, Muhammad and Ibrahim, will be killed at the hands of Mansur." Having said this, the Imam departed. 10. After Safa, when Mansur became the caliph, Muhammad ibn Abdullah went into hiding. Mansur demanded him from his father and decided to eliminate him on account of the Pledge of Allegiance. Muhammad owed him to relieve himself of anxiety. He, therefore, engaged detectives to arrest Muhammad and his brother Ibrahim. Eventually the two brothers felt that they had no alternative but to surrender to Mansur or wage a war against him. Hence Muhammad raised the standard of revolt in Medina and Ibrahim, in Basra. They fought, but they were finally killed along with a large number of descendants of Ansars and Muhajirs and the children of Ja'far ibn Abu Talib and also the children of Imam Husayn, Husayn and Ali, two sons of Zayd ibn Ali ibn al-Husayn were also killed in the company of Muhammad, known as Nafs Zakiyah. Masudi writes that Mansur had a sweetmeat made of kernel and sugar prepared for him and ate it. He liked it very much. He remarked, Ibrahim wished to prevent me from taking this and other similar foods. It was as if it was nothing serious for Mansur, and he killed the descendants of the Prophet only for the sake of tasty foods. Atrocities of Mansur. It is mentioned in Maruhuz Zahab 11 and in Nizawat Taqasim 12 that Mansur gathered Imam Hassan's descendants and ordered them to be put into chains and iron collars. They were made to mount litters without saddles and sent to pitch-dark dungeons, as was done by Yazid in the case of Imam Husayn's family. In such a situation they divided the Quran into 5 parts, and before each daily prayer they recited one part of Quran. The prison they were kept in did not have toilets, and they were obliged to empty their bowels at the place they resided. As a result, its foul odor caused their bodies to swell. This swelling commenced from their feet and reached their hearts. They departed from the world on account of serious illness, hunger, and thirst. Makrizi has quoted from Tariq Kamil in Nizawat Taqasim that Mansur summoned Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Uthman, a brother of Imam Hassan's descendants from their mother's side, and ordered his dress to be torn till his private parts were visible. In that condition he was given 150 lashes. Once the whip struck his face and he said, "Woe betide you! Spare my face at least." Mansur ordered them to strike his head. 30 lashes were, therefore, given on his head. One of those lashes struck his eyeball, which came out and fell on his face. At last, he was put to death. Ibn Athir writes that Mansur also summoned Muhammad ibn Ibrahim ibn Hassan. Muhammad had such a delicate build that he was nicknamed Brocade. When he arrived, Mansur asked him, "So, you are the yellow brocade? I swear by Allah that I shall kill you in a manner none has been killed." Then by his order, Muhammad was buried alive in a pit and a pillar was constructed over his body. Muawiyah used to bury the people alive without allowing them to say anything, but Mansur buried them alive and built pillars on them. Thus was the difference between the Syrian regime and Iraqi kingdom. And this very policy distinguished Bani Umayyah from Bani Abbas. We have not seen during the Umayyad rule that one of their governors imprisoned some individuals in a dungeon where all of them died one after the other under unbearably odious surroundings. Hence, a poet says, "By Allah, the crimes of Bani Umayyah were not even 1/10 of those of Bani Abbas." It is mentioned in Nizawat Taqasim 13 that Qasim ibn Ibrahim Tabatabai had an estate in Medina, which was called Ar-Ras. When Mansur summoned him also, he left Medina and ran away with the intention of going to Sind. In his verses, Qasim says about Bani Abbas, "Shedding our blood has not satiated Mansur and he is still pursuing us. The fire of their malice can be extinguished only when none of the descendants of the Prophet's daughter is left on earth." Qasim walked barefoot and his feet bled as he fled from one city to another. He says in a couplet, "It is hoped that the bone joiner will set the broken bones." 14 I have not lost hope in Allah. He will indeed help those who suffer hardships. It is mentioned in Nizawat Taqasim 15. Mansur entrusted a room to the wife of his son, Mahdi, and administered an oath that so long as he was alive, she would not open the room. When Mansur died, Mahdi opened the room and he saw that dead bodies of descendants of Abu Talib were lying in it. Their parentage was written on pieces of paper, hanging from their ears, and some children could also be seen amongst them. Makrizi writes, "What connection such crimes have with justice, with the religion of Muhammad and with the conduct of religious leaders? What link has this hard-heartedness with the kinship of the mercy of the worlds? By Allah, these actions have nothing to do with religion and faith." On the other hand, these indecent actions are mentioned in Quran as follows. "O hypocrites! But if you held command, you were sure to make mischief in the land and cut off the ties of kinship." 47. 22. Those it is whom Allah has cursed, so he has made them deaf and blinded their eyes. 47. 23. Is this the conduct of one who claims that he has faith in Allah, the Judgment Day and the Quran, and that he is the Caliph of Allah and son of the uncle of Allah's Messenger? Imam Ja'far is Sadiq and Mansur. Mansur gave the title of as Sadiq to the 6th Imam, because Imam Ja'far had earlier correctly predicted Mansur's rulership. He had also predicted that Muhammad and Ibrahim, the two sons of